good afternoon, whatever it may be. Welcome to Matthew Explores presents History and the Pint, the local history series where the past is just a few steps from the pub. I'm Matthew, and in each episode we'll take a short stroll from a local pub just to see what history we can find. The start of today's episode is the Lamb in Old Town Eastbourne, one of the oldest pubs in the country. So join me as we go and uncover hidden stories, curious landmarks and colourful characters that shape this historic corner of Sussex. From medieval mysteries to wartime tales, forgotten trades to quirky traditions, we'll explore the layers of history that are right under your nose and yet still within walking distance of a cold pint. So grab a drink, take a stroll, and let's dive into the stories that built Eastbourne's Old Town. This is History and a Pint, where every pint has a connection to the past. So before we go and get that pint, the first place we are off to is St Mary's Church in Old Town. St Mary the Virgin's Church, older than the town itself. First recorded in the Domesday Book in 1086. The church went through many phases of building. Through the 12th and 13th century, the parish undertook a grand Norman rebuilding. And in the 14th century, the majestic tower, Gothic aisles and ornate windows. In the grounds of the church, you'll find the yew trees, ancient sundials and the Cornish cross. The Cornish cross built here in 1817 by geologist David Gilbert. The 20th century has seen the church welcome royalty. 1935 saw King George V and Queen Mary worshipping during the holiday. A year later, in February 1936, Princess Elizabeth, future Queen Elizabeth II, joined her parents and Princess Margaret for a service just months after George V's passing. These royal visits testified to the church's standing, its medieval dignity and its spiritual prominence, attracting even the crown. 1851 saw architect R.C. Carpenter undertook a sensitive Victorian restoration, reviving the medieval fabric while adding essential features like the north porch, balancing preservation with a need to repurpose it for a new age. The church, now a Grade 1 listed building, remains a vibrant hub of the community. It's not merely a stone building, it is a beacon of Eastbourne's Old Town for nearly a millennium. That's St Mary's Church, well worth a visit, and we are heading now to somewhere completely different. We're heading down the road. Follow me as we go and find an entertainer. And just like that, we are here. We are at Tommy Cooper, the entertainment, famous for his fez hat. We are here at his holiday home in Mottcombe. By the 1960s and 70s, Tommy Cooper, based in London, found solace by the sea, enjoying weekends and holidays in Old Town. His former holiday home stood at 7 Mottcombe Lane. Today we see a striking iron silhouette, complete with fez and wand, marking his former retreat, a fitting tribute to a legendary entertainer. Though Tommy died tragically in 1984, his connection to Eastbourne deepened through his wife Gwen's family. In Auckland Cemetery, there's a memorial to Gwen's family grave, and not just for Gwen and their sons, but also for Tommy himself, although Tommy's ashes were scattered in London. Extending the footprint of the Cooper family further in Eastbourne, Tommy's brother David Cooper operated Cooper's Magic Shop, initially in Slough, but it relocated to Cornfield Road in Eastbourne, where it was run by David's daughter Sabrina. Cooper's unfortunately is no longer there. Tommy Cooper's relationship with Eastbourne is not just about the occasional getaways. It's woven into the town's fabric through his home, his family, memorials. He remains a symbol of laughter, love and legacy, anchored in both London and the Sussex coast. Moving on, we are heading to our next destination. Right, we're now approaching St Mary's Hospital, the site of St Mary's Hospital. Now, unfortunately, not a lot left of it. Been built over, house estate closed in 1990. So Eastbourne's Old Town Church Street stood St Mary's Hospital, a building built upon layers of history. Originally a Napoleonic barracks, then it changed into a workhouse and then into a hospital. On the 1st of April 1930, control passed to Eastbourne Borough Council and the site was transformed into Eastbourne's St Mary's Hospital. During World War II, St Mary's was evacuated and it was held as a reserve for war casualties. Eventually, from 1940, it started treating wounded civilians and servicemen, despite the bombs bustling down and damaging the operating theatre. The introduction of the NHS in 1948 saw St Mary's join the National Health Service. For nearly 40 years under the NHS, St Mary's served the local community, offering general maternity care, outpatient service and long-term support. Its decline started 1976 when the Eastbourne District General Hospital opened, and although still continuing once DGH opened in 1989-90. After phase 2 of the DGH expansion, St Mary's closed and was demolished in 1990. The site was redeveloped for housing with a road named Leveron Place. I presume I'm saying that correctly. And that was honouring Miss Mary Leveron, the hospital's beloved head nurse from 1924 to 1948. Today the hospital lives on in memory only, and it is remembered by the blue plaque on the corner of Church Street, honouring the patient, staff and inmates who lived there, along with the NHS website having a catalogue of historic images, some of which are shown here, of the hospital. St Mary's journey from barracks to workhouse to hospital to housing mirrors Eastbourne's broader transformation. It reflects the evolving attitudes towards poverty, health and civic responsibility. While the hospital's gone, its impact endures. In the streets that bears Mrs Leveron's name, the plaque honouring its past and the generations who were born, cared for or nursed here. St Mary's Hospital is a testament to Eastbourne's changing needs, from social welfare to modern healthcare. Though it no longer stands, it's a legacy that shaped a community. And we're finished there. We are moving on to our next destination now. We've got a few minutes walk and we're going to head off to Manor Gardens and Gildridge Manor House. The Georgian elegance and the Manor Gardens create their own story of heritage, resilience and renewal. In the mid-18th century, Eastbourne was a modest village, its landscape dominated by farmland and scatterings of cottages. 1776 saw the Reverend Henry Lushington, the Vicar of Eastbourne, embark on an ambitious project to purchase the land east of the Bourne Stream, and clearing the land he constructed a late Georgian manor house now known as Gildridge Manor House. The manor's design were reminiscent of Sir Robert Taylor, described in 1787 as the best house and gardens in this village. It offered panoramic views of both land and sea. Following the Reverend Lushington's death in 1779, the estate passed on to his son Sir Stephen Lushington. 1792 it was sold to Charles Gilbert, a relative who later became Charles Davis Gilbert. The Davis Gilbert family retained ownership until 1922. As Eastbourne evolved into a fashionable seaside resort, the manor house's role shifted. In 1922, Davis Gilbert family sold the property to the town and it was transformed into the art gallery and museum, serving the community for over 80 years. The Town Art Gallery, named after Alderman John Chisholm Towner, opened in 1923. In 2005, the gallery relocated to its new facility and the manor stood empty for several years. 2011, Mark and Emma purchased the manor, embarking on a meticulous restoration. Their efforts have returned the building to its former glory, preserving original features like the main staircase and ceiling. Today, Gildridge Manor House serves as a vibrant venue for wedding events and community gatherings. It stands as a testament to the enduring spirit of Eastbourne's heritage. Adjacent to the manor lies the Manor Gardens, a serene space that has evolved alongside the neighbouring estate. Originally part of Gildridge Manor's grounds, the gardens have been shaped by centuries of history. Among the garden's historic features is the Hermitage, thatched structure dating back to the 18th century, and its exact purpose remains a mystery, adding an air of intrigue to the gardens. Today, the Manor Gardens is cherished public space, offering residents and visitors peaceful retreat. It's a blend of formal gardens, open lawns and shaded areas, providing sanctuary to animals and people alike. Manor Gardens and Gildridge Manor House are more than just landmarks. They're a living piece of history. They remind us of where we've come from and inspire us to preserve our heritage for future generations. As we near the end of our stroll around Old Town, as we're heading towards the Lamb pub, our final stop before the Lamb is Pilgrims House. Tucked away on Borough Lane in the heart of Old Town stands this quiet flint-fronted building that has over the years witnessed both the beauty of creativity and the terror of conflict. This is Pilgrims House, located at 4 to 6 Borough Lane, an unassuming yet historically rich property whose past offers glimpses into both Victorian brilliance and wartime resilience. In the 1830s, Pilgrims House became a temporary home to one of the most iconic figures in English literature, Charles Dickens. At the time, the house was rented by Augustus Leopold Egg, a respected Victorian artist and close friend of Dickens. Egg was a key member of the London art scene and often surrounded himself with other creatives, writers, painters, actors, many of whom found Eastbourne's Old Town a welcome escape from the noise of London. It was in this tranquil setting that Dickens stayed at Pilgrim's House during visits to the south coast. He was still in the early stages of his career, but rapidly rising to fame with sketches by the Boz and the Pickwick Papers. These visits gave him precious time to unwind, reflect and perhaps even write. While there is no definitive proof that he penned parts of novels here, Dickens was known to draw inspiration from every location he visited. With its narrow cobbled lanes, flint cottages and colourful local characters, Old Town Eastbourne may well have helped him shape the rich scenes and vivid personalities that filled his stories. In recognition of his time here, a blue plaque now graces the front of Pilgrim's House, marking the connection between this quiet Sussex lane and one of Britain's greatest authors. Although it's a private residence today, locals and visitors often pause outside to read the plaque. As you walk through Eastbourne's Old Town, past its ancient pubs and crooked walls, don't miss 4 to 6 Borough Lane. Pilgrim's House may not shout out for attention, but it tells a story that stretches across a generation. Picture a young Charles Dickens standing at the door, notebook in hand. Imagine the window shattering during the war. Feel the weight of history that lingers in this silent street. Pilgrim's House is part of Eastbourne's soul, not just its past. Okay, so we are back at our final destination. We're back at the Lamb pub in Eastbourne. But before we go there, I'm going to give you a little bit of info before we go and grab our pint. I'm going to a bit of history about the pub. So the Lamb pub, over 800 years old, dating back to 1180. It's one of the oldest pubs in the UK, offering a unique blend of tradition, community and unforgettable stories. The pub retains 3 distinct areas around what appears to be the remains of the central drinking corridor, showcasing its evolution over time. It's a Grade 2 listed building and recognised for its special national historical interest. In the 19th century, the Lamb was a cultural hub. Charles Dickens and his artist friend Augustus Egg used to stay in the Pilgrim House opposite, and it said that they used to come to the pub, and it said they used the pub's assembly rooms for amateur theatrical productions, reviving a tradition of performances that began in the 18th century. This rich cultural heritage continues today with the Lambs Theatre, a fringe venue above the pub that hosts a range of performances from classical readings to contemporary plays. One of the most dramatic events in the Lambs history happened in the 1950s when a double-decker bus crashed into the front of the pub, causing significant damage. Remarkably and thankfully, no one was seriously injured. Today, the Lamb, operated by Harvey's Breweries, it offers a selection of real ales, including its flagship Sussex Best, which I think I'm going to give a go today. The pub also has 4 ensuite bed and breakfast rooms, each named after a Harvey's beer. True to its community roots, the Lamb is one of the oldest dog-friendly pubs in the country. Dog owners can enjoy a pint while their pets relax by their side, reflecting on the pub's welcoming atmosphere.
Okay, that brings us to the end of today's episode of History of the Pint. Just one thing to do, and let's have my pint. I'm having a pint of Harvey's Best. And according to Harvey's, it's brewed with 4 local hops, filtered water through the South Downs for the last 30 years, and apparently it's the embodiment of Sussex. Anyway, thanks for watching and cheers. See you next time in History and a Pint.